raise your right hand. Do you swear any statements you make with the court today will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. And you and the respondent, you believe the respondent will be a DeKalb County resident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And
All
I'm
right.
sorry. I'm just
And you-
cooking dinner now. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm cooking dinner now. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. We'll work through it. So you said this is a present or past spouse. Are you two still married?
Passed
Okay. When were you divorced?
July 9th of 2019.
Okay, so almost 4 years ago. And you have a child together that's 12, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Let's see here. So I have to. All right. So I think you filed sort of a narrative to your petition here that got clipped off once, but then attached back later. So let me start by asking this. When is the last time Mr. Wallace was physically violent with you?
I would say it was actually September of 2017 or 16 physically. Thank you. No. Small.
Okay. And so
Should I say
so
something?
you do, no, you may
Okay.
not. If you have a legal objection to something that's being discussed, then you can make that, state the grounds for your legal objection. But the way that this works is we go through all the questions with her, all the
Okay.
questions you might want me to ask her. And then after all that is the opportunity for you to make your own statements. And so it's a tough seat to sit in, just having to kind of, you almost have to sit there and take it. But since it's their burden of proof, before you're asked whether you want to do anything or not, you get to hear everything they have to say.
Okay.
That's the silver lining. So what led you to file this petition that's happened recently?
Most recently, what led me to file the petition is because Mr. Wallace made me feel very uncomfortable once again, placed me in fear of my personal self. March 24th, I had petitioned Gwinnett County Court for about like the 13th or 14th time for contempt, for non-payment of child support and things of that nature. And after the hearing, Mr. Wallace left the courtroom about maybe like 60 seconds before I did, about a minute or so. And when I finally did gather my things, I walked out of the courtroom and I could hear Mr. Wallace, referring to me as a bitch. He was there with his mom, and he was there with another young lady that they communicated to the judge that she was actually like his father's like nurse or what have you. But she was there, his mother was there, and he was there. Just prior to the judge, adjourning court, like ending court, the last thing she asked him if he had anything to say, and he requested a paternity test, which really just, to be honest with you, blew my mind. We've been divorced for like almost 4 years, but we were married for 14. I couldn't believe that he even made that statement that he wanted a paternity test. However, he leaves out of the courtroom. I leave 1 minute or so after Mr. Wallace. I could hear from the corridor of the courtroom before the doors closed behind me, Mr. Wallace referring to me as a bitch. This bitch, this be that, this be this be that. Nonetheless, I'm walking. I couldn't see him, but I could hear him. I'm walking toward the escalator. And I'm walking toward the escalator. And I'm sorry, I just don't want to look at Mr. Wallace right now. I'm so sorry. His picture is really big right now on the screen. I don't like that.
Okay, what am I looking at right now?
I just covered up the camera and I apologize, but his face is right there. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, you can change the view on your screen so that it doesn't show him, but we need to be able to see you and
okay,
right.
So I leave out of the courtroom. I hear him referring to me as a bitch. I walk out. As I'm coming, I finally meet them. We're walking. I sent videos of that particular incident as well. And he's just calling me B. So now that he sees me, he's calling me directly. This B, F-U-B-I-T-C-H, F-U, you're not gonna get S-H-I-T, you're a crab, A-S-S-B-I-T-C-H. And at first, I didn't say a word to him. And then I told him, I said, Zach, you will never see my daughter again, never. Oh, F-U-U-B-I-T-C-H, his mom is standing right there. We finally get to, because at this point, I'm just trying to hurry and get to my vehicle, like get downstairs to where, because there were no officers up there. I'm trying to get to where I can just feel safer, like, you know what? Because I know him. I'm walking toward the escalator. He stops at the top of the escalator, although he was the one that was leading. He was leading in front. He was first. His mom's like 5'2". She was behind him. The nurse is like 5'2". She was behind the mother. He stops at the top of the escalator instead of continuing to go down the escalator. And he just commits to cursing me. Like now he's doing it face to face rather than me just looking at him and hearing him. He's face to face. And then I stand there.
Like how far, you said face to face, how far apart do you think you two were?
If you look at the video, you can confirm that he's all of maybe 2 or 3 feet away, maybe 3 feet, maybe. And he's cursing me. He's calling me out of my name, which is the female dog name. Repeatedly, I'm not giving you S-H-I-T, F-U, F-U. And I told him, he says, excuse me, B, I'm not giving you S-H-I-T. I said, okay, Zach. I said, Zach, stop calling me a B-I-T-C-H. Your mother's right there. That's exactly what I told him. Oh, F-U, B. If you look at the video, sir, you will see his mother begins to grab him to try to push him down the escalator because he will put him, guide him down the escalator, excuse me, because he then, after continuously calling me out of my name, he tells me, I will knock you, I will F and knock you over the escalator. So, and then turned to me and said, and this one, if you look in the video, I had my hand up. I said, do you see all of these cameras facing you, Zach? You're not crazy. He says, you're not going to do S-H-I-T. You're not going to do S-H-I-T. And Mr. Wallace is a very calm, he's like a quiet storm. So he can be calm and still be very direct and aggressive. So he lets me know very clearly that he's going to knock me off the escalator. So that is when I took a step back and braced myself. His mother began to grab him and push him down the escalator, put him down the escalator, guide him down the escalator, where he continued to call me out of my name. Continued until we got downstairs. I'm walking in one direction, going to the right. He's walking because Gwinnett County has a new side now. They're going the opposite direction. As he's calling me out of my name and threatening me, the young lady that was with them, I do not know her name. She is the only one that says, Zach, don't do that. Zach, stop. Don't do that. So I turned to her and I began to say something to her. He says, don't talk to that B. Don't talk to that F and B. This is when we're going down the escalator. And so I go my way, he go his. I get to my truck and I just drive home and I'm processing what happened. At this time, sir, it's probably like about maybe 3 or so. I have to go pick my daughter up. That was a Friday afternoon. Monday, first thing, I went to the courthouse and I requested the actual video of what took place at the escalator and up the hallway. This is not the first time that Mr. Wallace has been verbally abusive to me, even well after the divorce. Mr. Wallace has came to my-
So did you tender, so you referenced an exhibit. Did you send a video that, I see a handful of videos. Are these ones that you took?
Yes, no, some of those are actually from Gwinnett County Courthouse, and you will see the information listed as such on the videos. Most of them are actual videos that you will see. It says Gwinnett County Superior Court or whatever. The other one is my cameras that we have here at my home, in my neighbor's home, where Mr. Wallace came about a year or so ago. I also petitioned the court for a TPO at that time. But Mr. Wallace, just like last week when they attempted to serve him, his mother was dishonest with the sheriff. She lied. You'll hear the video as well.
All right, so let me see if I can get Ms. Broom to pull up the video.
Thank you.
Okay, Judge, while this is the one of them that I found. 1 moment.
We'll just, yeah, we can just roll through them in order. All right. Well, I'm going to guess that you're not stuck to the ceiling taping this on your phone. I'm guessing this is security footage.
Absolutely.
All right. And so who is the gentleman in the Calvin Klein
That's that. That's Mr. Wallace.
All right, and that's his mother holding on to him.
Yes.
All right, and I'm gonna move my screens that are still on. All right, and who's the person in the back?
That's the nurse that I was referring to. She's the nurse.
Okay. All right, very good, Miss Broom. You can play whatever you see next.
That doesn't apply. That's somebody totally different. I'm sorry. I accidentally put that in there.
Okay. All right, we'll keep moving.
Okay, you said that one is not yours.
That
Okay.
is mine, but it doesn't apply to this case. I accidentally added that by accident.
Okay, hold on.
Hello, I can't hear anything.
Nothing's being said. You're good.
All right.
Never hurts to ask.
Now, this is the video.
I promise. I'm
When
not
is this
angry.
video from?
My mama
This is the video from July of 2021 or 2021, I believe. If you look at the date, it may be 21 or 22. It's just like a year old. Mr. Wallace came over after about 4 years. After we had left court, we had just left court regarding the property that was actually awarded to me at 100%. He came over with the guidance of his attorney, making an attempt to get my daughter for the first time in over a year or two. And we're having a conversation. He popped up. We're having a conversation at the door, and I made it clear to Mr. Wallace, and you will hear where I made it clear she's not going. Mr. Wallace has, and this is the God's honest truth. God's honest truth on my mother's grave. Mr. Wallace, I'm not saying Mr. Wallace, but he lives with his mother who he controls. His father is a molester.
All right, we
Brother is a
are
molester.
so far off the rails.
No, it's going to make sense in just a minute, sir, because you will hear me state this in the video as well. He came to get my daughter. I made it very clear that she could not go. It was not his weekend.
What is the purpose? Okay, hold on. What is the purpose for which you are introducing this video?
So that you can see in the next video that the car that's in the driveway belongs to Mr. Wallace, and he tried to ram my vehicle when I was taking my daughter to ballet class. So I'm just making sure that the courts know and understand that the video in this video in this at my porch, there's a car standing in my driveway behind him, where I have contractors at my home. Mr. Wallace, out of the blue, when I go to leave in the next video that she may show you, is him trying to crash into my truck.
Okay, so let's play this video so I can see the car. I would not, in a million years, I would not have been looking for a car in all of this.
I
You
just
could have
wanna
given
make
me a
sure
whole,
that-
you could have given me all the guesses all day of what I was supposed to glean from this, and the car in the background would never have come up. So let's watch it and see what we get.
Thank you.
Anytime that you've exercised, excuse me, please, sir. I promise. I'm not angry on my mama and my kids. No, I'm not angry, sweetheart. It just is what it is. You left my daughter in the basement. Your people are not safe. You left my daughter in the basement. Okay.
Why she not
It's hot. The sun glaring down on me. It's hot. I'm not finna stand outside and do this with you. I promise to God. I promise to God. I'm not angry. Other than the mere fact that you've been gone for 4 years, you have never truly pursued.
All right, well, let's see what the next video shows.
This is Mr. Wallace's black vehicle right behind the contractor's truck.
Okay, so on the far side of the street, the SUV.
Yes, me and my little girl just got into the car from my garage. If you need to rewind it, you can. You can see us getting into the garage. She was 11 years old at the time. She's getting in the back seat. I'm making sure she's getting in the back. I am entering the front. I had no idea that his car was parked behind my contractor's truck. No idea until he came.
I'm sorry. So your house is where is this video taken from?
It's directly across the street at my neighbor's house, and I can stand outside right now and show you the same, sir.
Okay, so your black SUV is in the, I'm going to say the top left. It's not all the way to the left, but that's you dealing with the black SUV that the vision of which is partially impeded by the contractor's truck, correct?
That is correct, and you can
And
see.
Mr. Wallace's black SUV is parked on the street behind the trailer of the contractor's truck near the top right, but not all the way there.
That is correct, sir.
Got it. And then this gray or black sedan in the foreground is not relevant to all of this.
That is just the neighbors whose cameras it's coming from.
So is this the same day or is this the same day as the previous video?
It's the same day, sir, and you can see the red bonnet, the white shirt on me, and the red bonnet on my head.
Okay, and what's the separation in time from the conversation in the first video to now, roughly?
All of maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, because it was ballet time. Like, it's
Got
ballet time now.
Okay, understood. And I'm guessing from the sun, it's probably late afternoon.
Yes, sir. It's definitely after 4 o'clock because ballet starts at 5. And after he did this, he followed me for 17 minutes all the way to Brazelton.
I don't even, oh, because you live in Gwinnett.
Yes, sir.
Okay, understood.
And my daughter, sir, is in the passenger left side.
Okay, and so so my video is partially blocked by the Zoom barrier. Miss Broom, does yours have a timestamp or a date stamp on it?
No, I don't see one on here.
If
Okay,
you all
so
want
you
one,
said your daughter was 11 when that happened and she's 12 now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have
So
no reason to get on here and be
I'm not
dishonest.
the best at math, but that would tend to point to it happening last summer.
Yes, sir.
Got it. All right. I think that's all the questions I have for the moment. We may have some things to circle back to and what would essentially be redirect. Mr. Wallace, do you have any questions for this witness that you wish to suggest to the court?
Yes, do you have any video of when you first walked out of the courtroom? Because when you first walked out the courtroom, you was the first one to speak to me. You the first one start to me. And also, could you finish that video when we was on the carport? Don't cut off, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When I get ready to speak, you know what I'm saying? I am not a violent person, but go ahead.
Well, so a couple things. I'm going to tell both of y'all this. This decision is not getting made about the words. Well, what was said on the porch, she was not introducing for the purposes of the discussion itself. She was trying to show the vehicle or using that to establish that the vehicle was yours.
No,
Now,
I couldn't see a vehicle, but okay.
Are you having trouble hearing me?
I said I couldn't see a vehicle, but go ahead.
No, she's talking about the vehicle from the second video. She's saying was your vehicle.
Yeah, I understand that, but the first video, I didn't see a vehicle.
And Your Honor, I have 4
No,
more.
ma'am, no, please just, my
I'm
train,
sorry.
the train up here jumps the tracks real fast at 5:45 when we've been doing court since 9. So if I don't get it out, then there's no telling where we end up.
Okay.
So, the testimony that she gave is that she heard you talking about her and that there was a conversation that started after that. So, the context of who said something to whom, her contention is that you were speaking loud enough to be heard. You weren't speaking to her, but you were speaking loud enough to be heard. And that the discussion followed from there that was depicted in part of that video. So that is her contention for that. Do you have, and then as to the porch discussion, I will be honest, for the purposes of this hearing, what was discussed there has no bearing on it at all. And I'm not paying attention to it because the porch discussion is not about violence or threats or intimidation. I understand there was an argument between the two of you, but it's just there as scene setting and context for the video that followed. So do you have questions otherwise about what we've seen today?
Yes, I did like to know, did she have any other video other than that? Because that's really not showing anything. The courthouse video, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the courthouse video.
Okay.
She had say she
So
had more
let's
than
see if
one.
Ms. Broom can look and she can see if there are other courthouse videos mixed in there. And while she's looking, Ms. Green, do you know how many videos from the courthouse were submitted?
They gave me 2 videos, sir.
Okay,
One of the people, and I can send it to you right now, it's for 3 minutes, where there's more so right outside the door. There is people with.
how many videos from the courthouse did you submit to the court, to us?
Oh, like 1 video, 1 or 2
Okay,
videos.
so the one that we have is the one that we have, and I can tell you a 3-minute video is almost certainly going to be too big for us to receive and play it.
Right. It
And
wouldn't go
Mr.
through it.
Wallace, just to give you some perspective on this, we had somebody else who tried to send us a 14-minute video and they had to break it into 7 2-minute clips.
Okay.
And so even if she had tried to submit that 3-minute video, the system would have automatically rejected it and we would not have known unless we had asked her. So when you have your turn to testify, you'll be able to give your version of how that event unfolded. And in the meantime, you can ask questions like, like we can pose the question this way. Ms. Green, I know you gave a statement that you heard him talking about you. Did you speak to him or did he speak to you first?
Okay, I see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
So Ms. Green, what's your answer to that question?
As soon as Mr. Wallace saw me, Mr. Wallace turned around, because if you look at the video, you can even see where Mr. Wallace's feet, when he was walking forward, his feet and legs turned backwards. Therefore, he turned around. When he saw that it was actually me walking behind him, I'm 5'9". I walk fast. My legs are long. He seen me. He commits to cursing me again. Now you're cursing me. I said, you will never see my
Okay, so
daughter
the answer to
again."
the question I
Yes.
asked, I'm inferring is that he started talking to you before and you did not start talking to him.
No, I was behind him. His mother was
Okay.
trying to tell him to come on, even in the lobby area.
All right, so Mr. Wallace, that is her answer to your question.
Okay.
You have the opportunity to give your testimony when we have finished questioning this witness. Do you have other questions you wish to suggest for this witness?
okay, I guess that'll be it for me.
Okay. Ms. Green, did you have anybody else you intended to call as a witness?
Yes, I do.
Who was that?
It's my oldest daughter, and if we have to put, I don't want to, but if we have to put my 12-year-old on here, who also witnessed Mr. Wallace in our driveway in his Chevy Malibu.
All right, what
Physically
violence or
violent.
acts of violence do you believe your oldest daughter has witnessed
They both witnessed physical violence.
within the last year?
Within the last year, I live in Gwinnett. He lives in DeKalb. We don't talk. He
Okay.
doesn't come around
So
me.
I'm just going to
Only-
tell you that you're here seeking an emergency protective order.
Yes,
And so to the extent that the things they're going to talk about are these things that happen in the course of your marriage for the most part and the immediate aftermath of I
Correct.
guess the impending divorce.
correct, and yes.
Got it. Okay. I don't believe I need to hear from those witnesses who have, given that timetable for it. And so I think we can move past that and we don't need to put them through testifying. So
Thank you.
Mr. Wallace, what we're concerning ourselves with for the most part, and though you certainly have some latitude since it's your case, if you choose to testify, the day of the porch discussion is what I'm going to refer to it as, and the incident at the courthouse. If there are other things you think need to be called to the court's attention that either have not come up yet or have not been addressed satisfactorily, then of course you may do so. You also have a right to remain silent if I haven't mentioned that, and the things you say in these proceedings can always be used against the parties that say them. Do you wish to testify today?
Most definitely.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the statements you make to the court will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. All right. What would you like to tell us today?
Okay, first of all, when we walked out the courtroom, first of all, we went to court for contempt on child support and other money matters. And also she was trying to get my daughter's last name changed. So I guess she was upset that I said something about the paternity test. So when I was headed to the elevator, she came out busting out of the courtroom doors. That's why I would like more video. She busted out the courtroom door. You will never see Zaria again. You know what I'm saying? That's my daughter. That's the only reason I turned around. Other than that, I would have never even knew she was coming out of the room because I was walking straight ahead. And also, if she was feared for a threat for her life, she wouldn't have walked that close to me. She wouldn't have kept walking towards me if she was so feared for my life. And second of all, this is the second time she came to the cab kind of do a TPO. The first time she came to did the TPO in 20, I want to say that was 20, maybe 17 or 18. I missed the court date because I thought it was at 12 o'clock, but it was in courtroom 1200. That's the only reason I missed the court date, so I couldn't defend myself. And they granted it to her. But soon after that, I have video where after she had the TPO, she came over to my business, you know what I'm saying, threatening me and this.
I'm just going to jump in here. If we're talking about stuff that happened before COVID was the thing.
Yes, what I'm saying is she's not threatening for her life. She's just trying to get paperwork so she can take my custody away from my daughter. That's what this is really all about.
And what
She
is
don't
your
want to
custody?
see my
What is your custody arrangement at present?
Right now, it's joint legal and joint legal custody.
Okay, so what visitation, if any, do you have?
I have visitation rights, but she would not let me see my daughter. That's the only reason I
Okay.
showed up.
What does the order say you're supposed to spend with your daughter time wise?
I'm supposed to get her every other weekend, which I need to get that changed to every first, third, or fifth weekend. I need to be specified. That's what the Gwinnett County Police told me. Told me that I need to get that specified. So when I go over there, it will be clear to the police so they can, you know what I'm saying, do something about it. And I get holidays and Father Days and stuff like that on the odd years or the even years or something like that.
Okay,
But
so
not-
somewhere along the way, that little form was filled out where there's 2 columns for each parent, and it's even year and odd year, and all that stuff was divvied up. But in terms of the regular day-to-day, every other weekend is supposed to be your designated,
Yes,
your conventional assignment.
That's why when you saw us on the porch talking, that was one weekend, and then since she wouldn't let me come, I called the police, got a report of that. So since the police said it's not clear, so I said, let me go back the next weekend. That's when I was in my SUV and she tried to run to the car and jump in the car and leave. I just followed them. I had the police on the phone when I was following her. I would never hit her car with my car. I wouldn't do that. Why am I damage my own vehicle? You know what I mean? So she just would not let me see my daughter. She's just trying to take visitation, trying to change my daughter's name. It's just a mess. You know what I'm saying? At one point we discussed co-parenting, doing a better job at it. But you know what I'm saying? She just will not get there for some odd reason. I don't know what her problem is, but you know what I'm saying? She know I love my kids. I was there and helped raise her oldest daughter, took her to school. I was good enough when we was married. But since this divorce, she wouldn't act like I'm the horriblest person in the world, would not let me see my daughter. It's just a mess.
Excuse
All
me,
right.
Your Honor. May I speak when you have a moment, please?
Well, not exactly, but you'll have a chance to ask him questions when he's done speaking. Mr. Wallace, is there anything else you wanted to introduce as far as statements?
I think that's about it.
All right. Ma'am, do you have questions that you wish to ask this witness? Or
Yes,
you think
sir.
the court should ask this witness? Yes. What is that?
The first one, I would prefer the court ask Mr. Wallace. Not that I don't know if you said that it's irrelevant, but in 2018, he is correct. This is actually the third time, twice.
Yeah, we're not correcting all this. I'm interested in the facts of incidents that have happened, not the procedural history or the court history, and
Okay.
certainly not for stuff that is pre-2020.
Fair enough, because this stuff is 5 and 6 years old. However, Your Honor, sir, Mr. Wallace has not, and it's, again, I swore myself and I don't have any reason to be dishonest. Mr. Wallace does not at all. Actually, the divorce decree that I can submit to you all right now is right here on my MacBook.
What questions do you have for this witness?
When is the last time that he has ever made an attempt to actually utilize visitation? Actually, that doesn't even apply.
This is not what we're here
because we're in
for.
order. Exactly. So honestly, sir, I don't have any other question. I don't have any questions for Mr. Wallace other than the mere fact that he is violent. He places me in fear of my life. He was violent throughout our marriage. I have a scar on my forehead right here.
Okay, this is not the appropriate time for this either. This is like, this has been all day. It is like there was a discussion in the waiting room amongst all the participants in today's hearings that this was going to go. We are 9 hours in to this calendar because nobody can adhere to any kind of structure or procedure. They can't ask questions when it's question time. They want to argue and make statements and then take the floor back from the person whose turn it is when they've already had their turn to go through the things. The questions that you asserted were not relevant to this proceeding. Your point is well taken all the same.
Can you all?
Mr. Green made the statements that he wanted to make. And so, or excuse me, Mr. Wallace made the statements that when it was his turn, everybody put your hands down. We are not raising hands. We are not unmuting. There is an evidentiary record in a court case. Whether you knew it or not, you became lawyers today. When we started this hearing at 5:15 or whatever time it was, you got a temporary honorary bar card and you became the lawyer. And so there is a process that we go through, rules of evidence and procedure, and essentially order of operations of how we handle these things. And every little thing does not have to be parsed out or argued about or hashed out, especially when it's things that happened years ago. And that does not diminish the severity of the things that happened years ago, but it is an acknowledgement that those things are not part of every legal proceeding that involves the parties that are here today. I make a decision based on the facts that are before me. I do have jurisdiction over this case. It's undisputed that he lives in DeKalb County. And so the questions that I have are these two incidents that have happened within the past year, and determining whether or not there have been acts of family violence committed. The courthouse, I think the behavior there was wholly inappropriate and also not necessarily violent. Now, whether Ms. Green feels threatened or not in that context is informed in large part by that distant past and the history of the relationship between the parties. And so it's not exactly for me to say how she did or didn't feel, but that's not what's going to control my decision today. That video is horrific. I can't believe there weren't criminal charges. I can hear the tires chirp on that video from across the street when you start to move. And then I see what happens as she pulls out of the driveway thereafter. And yeah, you're right. You had absolutely no intention of damaging your vehicle. That doesn't mean that you might not have done it anyway if you hadn't screwed up, or if you had screwed up or hit the brakes at the wrong time or without the appropriate amount of force. But I have no doubt that you intended to create a feeling in Ms. Green with what you did on that day. It is clear as day that that was your intention. So I am absolutely going to grant this order. Now, you will be required as part of this order to attend the Family Violence Intervention Program and complete compliance as necessary. One member of our court team will get your email address to make sure that we have a means to contact you. You'll be ordered to stay away from Ms. Green and from her homework and school. And then you will be ordered that any visitation you have for the duration of this order, which is through April 17th, 2024, will take place through Nia's place. Property has already been separated. Parties are living apart. We don't have any concerns in that regard to address. This order does not prohibit communication with the child. If the child, I don't know if the child, they're around the age, they may have independent ability to communicate. And if they choose to do so, that's their business. Some people have the smartwatch or the phone or iPad, whatever it may be. But what is clear is that there's to be no contact, direct, indirect, or through third parties, including but not limited to the children. Children are not, they're not messengers, between Ms. Green and Mr. Wallace. And so, so that is my ruling for today. We're going to place you in a breakout room, and we're going to, Mr. Wallace, and we're going to get your phone number and email address so that Mr. Ellis, our compliance officer, will be able to provide you some materials that you need. Ms. Green, you have been with us for 9 hours today, and you have fulfilled your obligations to the court. And with that, we're going to place you in the waiting room, and you'll be free to log off. This order will be on file with the Superior Court Clerk's office by the end of the week. So thank you all for your patience, for the incredibly long wait we had getting to today's calendar, and for your time in handling the hearing itself. So we are going to move the parties where they need to be, and then we will get the information